Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to I'm on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. I'm your host, Gregory Iron. This is episode 266.
Suck my...
No. Listen, even though we have a microphone directly in front of us, we don't have to try to suck it or
simulate
fellatio on it or anything of that nature.
What about with the hand? What if I just...
It just seems unnecessary. Wait, is my... I don't think my mic is working. You know what? Aaron, I'm not paying for this show today. I'm not doing it. That's it. I'm done.
Do you want me to not pay for the show? You know what? That reminds me of pardon the interruption.
Yeah.
Aaron Bauer here.
That's
but that reminds me of indie promoters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like, well, you were 15 minutes late coming in.
Yeah.
I know there was traffic, but I can't give you your gas money now.
Yeah. Well, it's some carny bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of theories online about why his microphone may or may not be working.
Who is his?
Donald Trump.
Our president. Well, maybe by the time you're hearing it.
You know what? I might try to get this out early tomorrow. So that way we don't have to wait till Wednesday. So that way we're not talking in hypotheticals. We could be kind of more current than usual. Might have a day early episode. And I don't know.
You've always been known to go a day early.
I don't even know what that means. Like is that like a premature ejaculation joke or?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah,
so
that's what it is.
So if a woman contacted me and was like, I would like to have intercourse with you, and I'd be like, when are you available? She'd be like, tomorrow, and then I'm just sitting there, I'm like, just thinking about it. I'm like, sorry, I can't make it.
You ever done that before?
No, I can't say that. Really?
I mean, it's almost a day early.
Okay.
There was this girl. Her name was Julie.
Okay.
And I had a big crush on her. She worked at Applebee's.
Okay.
I tried to go out with her for a long time.
Sure.
Really, really, just so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, she gave me her number.
Sure.
As I was going into Applebee's 4 days a week then.
Okay.
And Applebee's shit.
Yeah, it's not great.
So
good soft pretzels.
I get, you know what? There is something I like there, and I can't even remember what it is. It's so maybe it is a soft pretzel with the queso or so. Oh, it's beer cheese.
Did you ever have the soft pretzel with the Fromunda cheese?
No, I don't think I have.
From under these nuts?
So I got Julie's number. I called her. We set it up. We went out on a date.
Mm-hmm.
We went out on a second date. We went out on a third date. I met her parents. She spent the night.
Wow.
She got completely undressed in my room, in my bed.
All right.
And, well, that was it.
Oh, okay.
And I go, can you give me an hour?
An hour?
Yeah.
For recovery time?
Yeah.
Jeez, okay.
And I think she went to bed, and that was the last time we ever went out. So, literally, I blew it.
What a way to start the show. We have a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We are going to answer some of your questions, which, Patreon members get priority on their questions. Patreon.com/Iron Wrestling. The best way to support this podcast, $3 and gets you the audio for the podcast early, but also thousands of archived episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, and you can go up in tiers where you get $5 for videos, $9 to get involved in the live chat that we have once a month, which we will probably have coming up in the next I might try for it this Sunday if I have that available, because I will be free. I will be on the road on Saturday. I'll be at Rise Wrestling in the Pittsburgh area, Uniontown more specifically. I'll be doing a seminar there as well. So if you're a up-and-coming wrestler or a guy that's been at it for a while, doesn't matter, 1 month or 20 years, I am doing a seminar if you want to hear some stories from me, talk pro wrestling psychology, and kind of brush up on the things that you think that you want to get better at. I'm going to be there to help you at 1 p.m. this Saturday in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. Contact Rise Wrestling. That's RYSE Wrestling if you'd like to be involved in the seminar. And you know what? I'm throwing it out there. Even if you're not a trained wrestler and you're thinking about training to be a wrestler, I would open the door for you to come on in and sit in and hear some stories, and perhaps maybe I can inspire you to maybe enter the industry. So, that'd be a good time. And, again, patreon.com/Iron Wrestling. We're going to be sending out packages for the month of December from Howard Animal Steel. So if you'd like one of those, you got to sign up for the next 2 months at least.
Posthumous.
I'm sorry, what?
Posthumous.
I think I'm humorous right now, to be honest, but I haven't told any jokes yet, except for that Fermunda one.
Yeah, you did tell that one.
$25 and up, and you will get the December special holiday package that we'll be sending out. So patreon.com/Iron on Wrestling, free to check out, but we would prefer for you to sign up and make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you download podcast.
Hey, it's free to sign up.
I'm sorry.
For
what?
just the podcast. And if you want to like and subscribe, that's free to sign up. But for all the bonus content, you just have to pay a small fee.
It's a small fee.
Yeah, and it's great because it's the greatest podcast that's ever been podcasted.
Okay, that's not...
No, people are saying that.
Who?
A lot of them. So, I want to go back in time a little bit here and make something. If anyone got the wrong impression, that's not how it normally goes for me.
Okay.
When I'm in bed with a woman and she's naked. Okay?
Gotcha.
That's just, or actually, what would be better is if you could just go back and then edit that part out. Can you timestamp that?
Nope. Actually, but I would like to just back him up on that. Now he does not have the premature ejaculation issue anymore. Now that he's nearly 50, it's more of a just getting it up issue. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. So.
I think that's opening a door for Blue Chew to be a sponsor.
Well, they're not, so we're not going to plug them.
We're not plugging them, but if they want to be a sponsor, I need something. Okay. I mean, no, I don't.
Something for Emily?
I would love to give it to her, but apparently I can't.
As long as she can.
Just because I couldn't get it up for you doesn't mean I can't get it up for a beautiful woman or an uglier woman.
Today we're going to be talking about the announcement of WWE ID. We're going to be talking about the recent WWE releases. There are a couple other things I'd like to get to if we have time. I may or may not talk about Cody Rhodes and his thoughts on body shaming in pro wrestling. And we're going to be talking about a plethora of other things in the bonus episode over on Patreon. We're going to be covering Crown Jewel, our review of the show from last week, as well as some of the stuff from Dynamite.
Did you watch any of those?
I watched all of Crown Jewel. I watched a couple segments from Dynamite. I watched SmackDown. How much did I pay for what?
The pay-per-view.
Crown Jewel?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, like $11 because I paid for Peacock without the commercial. So I guess that's how much I paid.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. Ooh. I don't want the commercials. I don't mind so much during the live show, but I fucking hate if I'm watching WrestleMania 13 and it cuts to a commercial break before I have to watch Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't want a commercial break.
Does the commercial break during a match? I don't know because I have the WWE channel.
They don't do it during a match.
Okay.
For the most part, but yeah, it's usually in between segments, and I don't want to put up with that when I'm trying to watch an old pay-per-view.
Yeah,
fuck that, dude.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to talk about today, and we're gonna answer some of your questions as well. And you guys submitted some good ones this week. So, but like I said, if you want to prioritize your questions, make sure you sign up for the Patreon. It supports the show. And we thank you very much for that. And,
Well, with that being said, we have 19 questions about Pokemon Go.
there are a lot. Thank you, Eric. You
Eric.
son of a bitch. We'll get to that later. Hey, before we get started, how about our Halloween costume last week? Nobody guessed what we were going to do for the annual random, obscure pro wrestling Halloween costume.
Well, that's because it was random and obscure.
It really
What
was.
did people think? What were some of the guesses? Do you remember?
I'd have to look, but nothing was. None of the guesses were even good, and they weren't even random or obscure.
Don't insult our crowd
I'm just
like
saying,
that.
none of them were even obscure guesses.
Somebody said that they thought I was going to be Hacksaw Jim Duggan and you were going to be the American flag.
I mean, that's
That wasn't up there though. That we didn't even have that on our radar.
I mean, that is a guess for sure. I would say that. I think.
Oh, I like the one the guy said that I was going to be Mark Henry and you were going to be Sammy.
Okay, no, that is very obscure. But
Somebody
feel like,
also wrote in and said that I was going to be Mae Young and you were going to be the Hand.
see,
And I thought that was inappropriate because, you have a deficiency.
no, see, I like that idea, but I just feel like WWE already did it better when they mocked it themselves. When they had Mae Young show up with her son,
that was good.
the Hand.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you would just be copying that at this point, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Good thing we didn't do that one.
I will say maybe the worst guess that I got for in a post on Instagram where I said, any guesses of the annual obscure wrestling Halloween costume, and someone guessed Michael Myers.
Well, Michael Myers wrestled in Japan. I believe it was the IWA or something.
Was it Michael Myers or was it?
There was also Jason and Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I don't ever remember seeing Michael Myers.
I'm
though.
pretty sure.
And of course you had.
Tracy Smothers was who?
Hold on, who's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy?
Oh, that guy.
Chainsaw
Chainsaw Charlie.
Leatherface.
Leather ass.
Leather ass. Yeah, but like I don't remember a Mike Myers. I'm sure it happened.
Oh, because Mike Myers was busy being the leprechaun.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I am the leprechaun.
So we ended up doing, if you didn't see it, in the build-up to King of the Ring 1996, the time that the Ultimate Warrior uncharacteristically wore a baseball cap to the ring to take a glass-framed photo shot from Jerry the King Lawler. And you know what? You know who liked the post over on Facebook? Kevin Lawler, son of Jerry the King Lawler. He liked it
Kevin
almost-
Christian.
I'm sorry, who?
Wasn't that the name he worked under?
Did he work under that name? I don't know.
I believe so.
I don't know.
I believe so.
But he was a fan of the photo, and it got a lot of likes on social media. And
Dude, I saw like 420 at one point, and then there was like that was after the first day.
yeah, it was pretty good. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I still feel like, boy, it's hard to pick the best one. I don't know. Nothing got more notoriety than the one that I did in 2016 when I was Willie Nelson from WrestleMania 7.
That's an all-time classic for you.
It was too spot on.
You look just like him. I don't know how much
don't know.
dope you had to smoke.
No, I didn't smoke any.
Oh, hey, I just saw him performing the other day at maybe it was Kamala Harris rally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought he was dead. Turns out he's not,
Was this
and he's still doing music.
was this really at a Kamala rally?
Yeah, I believe it was in
'Cause
Texas.
I would just, maybe I'm wrong here, but I would have guessed that he would have been a Trump guy.
Oh no, with all his pot smoking, he's liberal.
Okay, all right, well that's nice.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right, so enough about the Halloween costumes. What did you eat?
I don't
some
know if we
candy or
spend
anything?
enough time on that. No, because I'm sugar-free, baby. And nobody gives sugar-free candy out, which I really think is a problem.
Hold on, wait. Why do you think we didn't spend enough time on the Halloween costumes?
I was very happy. I mean, I was going to go through all of your costumes. I like Giant Gonzalez.
Giant Gonzalez was a class, actually. You know, I actually just what was it? The
And
last
then
time?
Denise Salcedo copied that this year.
What?
Yep.
How dare
I didn't
she?
know. I was going to send you a picture, but I didn't want to, like, screenshot her photo of it, and then it seemed like I was some creepy weirdo. So
I think it would have been okay.
brought out my old cell phone, and I tried to take a picture of the screen with that. And anyway, it was just a mess.
You're revealing your
Shut up!
pervert methods. Please stop.
You're a pervert.
I am not. No, that's not true.
What's going on in your dating life? Nothing?
My dating life is good. I'm still dating my girlfriend every single day. I don't know.
Okay.
Who also designed the jacket that you wore.
Thank you.
Did a very good job. She's very
Shout out to
crafty.
Hannah.
Yes.
How spot on was that? Because
She
the number one question asked to me about our photo from the people that I know and that know me
Yeah.
was, how'd you get that jacket and crown to be so perfect?
Well, the
And I
crown is
said-
from Amazon.com.
Oh, I said she made it.
No, she didn't make it.
Well, shut up and just fucking let people believe
I'm sorry.
it.
We'll go back and edit that. But yeah, she made the crown and
And the jewels.
so. But she also made the jacket. But like she in her basement, she has a whole room dedicated to crafting. So
Yeah.
she's really good with shit like that. So like
Yeah.
and if not for my artistry, I probably would have had her design the trunks that I wore too. But literally, I just went on Amazon, bought a white pair of trunks, and I just
Those were trunks?
yeah.
I'd never seen trunks that had a tag that said Fruit of the Loom on them.
There were not underwear.
grapes
They were-
and
they were
fucking orange.
spandex dancing trunks. And
Weird
I just,
too, because my neighbors filed a complaint.
Okay. Well, yeah, they did. They were coming out of their house to see why there was a weird half-naked man with face paint in your front yard
And
but,
purple socks with snow cones on them. Or
They were not
something.
snow cones. They was Ninja Turtles. Okay,
Ninja
get it
Turtles.
right. I was wearing
Just
some
as bad.
Donatello socks. There's nothing wrong with the Ninja Turtles.
All right.
Have some goddamn
you know what?
respect.
I should have some sympathy for you for this, because your childhood was so bad, but you are still clinging to just the good moments in it. So Ninja Turtles was good to you, and so you always have a Ninja Turtle sock and like a fetish for it. Wrestlers,
Fetish? What?
Not a fetish, but you have an affliction towards Ninja Turtles and their wares and their merchandise, and then you still collect dollies or little wrestling dollies.
Yeah, again, trauma is an interesting thing.
Right?
Especially when you have to grow up quicker than you should have, when your mom's like a crackhead and you're like 8 and 9 years old with your brother, and you're raising your newborn baby brother while she's running the streets, gallivanting around with some males of the night, if you will, and doing whatever she is with the illegal substances. It was not
What
a
else
good
do you
childhood.
still hold on to? Oh, that's right. The love you had for a 12-year-old Alyssa Milano.
Okay,
How come you never posted that picture?
we're gonna stop that bit because that's not funny.
Why isn't it funny?
I had a crush as a child on Alyssa Milano.
So did
There's
I.
nothing wrong with that.
Nope. But I don't have posters of her 12-year-old ass.
It's not her ass.
No, I
It's
mean just like
it's
her.
a picture of her working out. It's not. It's fine. We're moving on.
Yeah, let's go.
Anyways, so
Did
this
I tell you I sent that picture to Johnny?
I know you did because I sent it to Johnny. He said, "LOL, Aaron just sent this to me."
Yeah.
Let's talk about the recent releases this past week. Also, I don't know if it was made clear if they were actual releases or they just decided to let the contracts expire. But whatever the case is, Tegan Knox, Baron Corbin, and Indy Hartwell were let go this past week by WWE. As far as I know, none of these guys knew it was coming. I know Indy did not foresee it. It sucks when anybody loses their job, and especially, I think these are three individuals that in different ways had a lot of potential. And, there's some people that are very upset, and I think one person in particular that Baron Corbin responded to said, WWE really dropped the bag with you, and he said, I completely agree. I don't know. Where do you want to start on all this? Because I feel like...
I thought Baron Corbin definitely something could have been done with him, and I had no understanding of why nothing was done with him. But I thought there was a point where he was kind of coming out as a character that had played pro sports in the past, and so he felt like he was better than everybody else, and he was kind of shitting on the indie guys.
Yeah,
that were coming up through NXT.
One of my favorite things is one time he made a comment to. It was either Ricochet or Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
But he tried to insult him by saying why don't you go back to Ring of Honor, which they hadn't wrestled in Ring of Honor ever, but it was like an indie insult.
Right,
You know what I mean? So which just the fact that they weren't there made it even better.
Yeah.
But so I do think that. Listen, were there times for me personally where, as a fan, maybe perhaps Baron Corbin was a channel changer? Yes.
Constable.
However, yeah, that could be it. I wouldn't necessarily make it his fault, though. I do think, like, for a big guy, he moved very well.
He reminded me of Barry Windham a lot of times.
That's a good comparison. And you know
Yeah.
what? Like, he stole things that, like, are old school that I feel like were ahead of their time that more guys should do. Like, when I talk about there are certain things that I can't do because of my disability that I wish some young kids would watch and, like, steal because no one's doing it, but it's always cool. I think of Baron Corbin, and I think of the big boss man spot that he would do. Where he would slide to the floor and come back in. He stole that. I think Johnny told me the story, and Johnny, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Johnny just happened to be watching, when he was NXT, a GIF or a clip of Boss Man in Japan where he did the deal where instead of just sliding under the bottom rope like he usually did on WWF television and then did the punch, he slid out around the turnbuckle and came back in and like ran a spot with it. That's where Corbin got it.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of things that I was reading about Corbin's run, how like he was misused a lot and blah blah blah. I don't know if misuse was the right word when we're talking about his run in general, because did they start and stop him a lot with different characters? Yes, but I always felt like, for whatever reason, Vince had some favoritism towards him, because I mean, if you think about it, up until what was it, Roman Reigns like becomes a heel, Baron Corbin had like a very relevant story with him on TV. I don't know if many people were a fan of it, but one of the last pinfall losses that Roman took was from Baron Corbin in like 2019, before he goes on this hot streak with the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship and all that. Like, so literally in the last 5 or 6 years, the only pinfall losses that Roman Reigns has had is to Solo, Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, and Baron Corbin. So, like, I mean, that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
So, I do feel like there's a lot of character changes that maybe hurt him, but anytime he had a character that he was given, I feel like it was always in a pretty prominent role. And also, I think he did something that most bad guy performers don't do in this day and age. He didn't want to be like. He was literally like I don't want to say literally. He was actually he didn't want to be the cool bad guy. And I appreciate that. Like, he wanted to elicit boos. He wanted you to dislike him. And he went out of his way to make sure that you did dislike him. And I think in this day and age, it's hard to be an individual that garners real heat in professional wrestling.
I thought it was like the kiss of death when they brought him back up to the SmackDown roster.
Yeah.
And just randomly, he was a team with Apollo Crews.
Well, the problem with that is, like, I could imagine if they didn't do the random thing where they put Braun Breaker on Raw after he did all that storyline stuff to sign with SmackDown.
Yeah.
I could have easily saw them doing the Baron Corbin, Braun Breaker thing, and then having Braun do something where he turns on Corbin.
Yeah.
Because, like, listen, there was potential, and we saw it in NXT with his team with Braun.
What were they, the Wolf Dogs or something like that?
The Lone Wolves or something, or maybe there's a Wolf Dog. I don't know, but but whatever the case was, there was potential for new life with Baron Corbin as a babyface at that point. I think.
Well,
But-
yeah, people had seen him as a heel for his entire run.
Yeah. And I would say that, like, probably the best potential for something that he did as far as a storyline that was memorable for me because there was layers to it and he obviously committed to the character is when he lost everything and he was what was his name when he lost all his money before he became Happy Corbin? What were they calling him?
Sad Corbin?
I don't think they were calling him Sad
Loser
Corbin.
Corbin?
I don't know.
Something
There was
like
like
that.
hold on, let me look it up. Damn, maybe I'm just making that up in my mind. I don't know if there was a name for it, but I like how he lost his crown and he adopts this character of like this destitute man who lost everything, and like and so he's naturally balding. We saw that when he had the long hair when he first debuted, where it was like, boy, you're hanging on for dear life with this long hair, brother. But he grows out the hair, he grows out the beard. There's like commitment to like this bummish character. And
bum ass Corbin. No, that was what McAfee called it.
Yeah, but still,
it was
like
something like
that
that,
worked.
yeah.
Yeah, he went from bum ass Corbin to happy Corbin, and then he had Madcap Moss, which I really wish they would have fleshed out that character a little more and did something with Madcap Moss a little bit more. But I think that might have been my favorite version of Baron Corbin, just because there was layers to it, right?
Right.
I don't think the thing with JBL ever worked out like it probably could have, but also this is around the time where Vince is out of power, so I feel like. And we've seen this. There are some guys that once the shift in regime change came, some guys may or may not have fell out of favor. For whatever reason, I feel like there just weren't any plans with Baron Corbin. Now, we could say that about Baron Corbin, but on the flip side, I always felt like Tegan Nox was a Triple H gal. She ended up coming back because Triple H came back into power.
Right.
However, and you can give me your thoughts on this, you know, I think injuries for Tegan Nox kind of played a part in her not getting to where potentially she could be, because she has a lot of talent. However, if you recall, she originally was supposed to win, I think, the first or the second Mae Young Classic, but her getting that crazy, I think it was an ACL tear or whatever, that took her out of commission, and it changed everything, right? They did a whole little documentary on her on the network back in the day about it and everything, and her comeback. Very beautiful girl, super talented. There was so much potential there, and I don't know, other than injuries, why it never got kickstarted like it could have had.
Do you remember the first time you saw Tegan Nox?
It was before the Mae Young Classic, because living with Ricky Shane Page at the time as a roommate, he was friends with her through his travels to England and everything. So I had seen her, like, I think working, I want to say Progress or something like that. I've seen her stuff, and she just had the look and, the ability to definitely have success in WWE, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I believe the first time I saw her, and who's the one that's in Damage Control that gets hurt all the time?
It gets hurt. Oh, Dakota Kai?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw both of them. You and I went to NXT show like in Dayton or something. We took Hardcore Holly with us.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I saw both those ladies, which I was very impressed. They stood out immediately.
Did they wrestle each other, or did they team?
Maybe. I thought they were
remember.
a team, though.
Okay.
Okay, and then I said, man, they both got it. And the other one I was impressed with, which wasn't a woman, was Gunther's boy. Ludwig Kaiser.
Yes.
Man, that guy made such an impression on me because he never spoke. He would take the mic and he'd hold it up to his mouth, and people immediately started booing him, and then he just let it happen.
It was the facials. It was
Yeah,
the presence,
yeah, because he
there was
looks like
something about him.
like a guy you want to punch in the face.
Yeah.
And he had that smug, smirk look on his face. Oh, man. Yeah, so all those. And then I remember that Tucker came up and gave Hardcore Holly a big hug.
Yeah.
And raised his arm or something like that. Otis was cool, too, with us.
Yeah.
Along with Johnny, of course.
Yes.
But Otis was fine, but Tucker made an impression on me, and I just brought that up because I saw he retired this week.
He retired. He's just focusing on his family and coaching amateur wrestling, and
Is that what he does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think maybe a month ago Otis ran into him and posted a picture with him, and it was pretty cool that, like, he's come to terms with how everything's turned out, and seems like he's living a happy life without pro wrestling.
That guy would have went to the Indies and stuff. He didn't.
No.
That's what I wonder about these couple releases that we're talking about here, like Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
He'd make a grip. Dude, you pair him back up with JBL, who's been doing all these surprise shots at places.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be so hot.
Heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Cardona's done.
Yeah.
On the Indies. Like there's something.
If you want to, you can do it.
There is something for Baron Corbin on the Indies for sure, especially as a guy who hates the Indies but has to wrestle on them. And Tegan Nox, she's gonna make her money for sure. Like when she comes back, she's gonna get a shit ton of bookings. I think there's a lot of girls on the indies right now. I think like we're sort of in a, I don't want to say we're in a deficit of women wrestling talent right now, but a lot of the good ones have been scooped up, and I really think that a lot of the women around right now can really benefit from someone like Tegan Knox being around. But also, as far as not just in-ring stuff, but I think character work, promos, charisma, I think people can learn a lot from Indy Hartwell, who, this is the saddest one for me because, like, I know Tegan. I've spent some time with her. She was involved with one of the Disney trips that we went on in the last couple years, and I've spent a lot of time around Indy. But obviously, not only have I spent some time with Indy, but I hear about her all the time through Johnny and Candace. And man, there was just so much potential there. She had been there for 5 years, and she was part of the Way. She did the big wedding with Dexter Lumis, and I think that storyline is one of the more memorable storylines in NXT history.
Yep.
And it's not something that she was expecting. She was on TV as recently as last Friday night after the release. Yes. So because that had been prior SmackDown. They did 2 weeks because of Crown Jewel. So the first one where the Machine Guns won the belts was live to tape. So it taped at 7 instead of 8. And then they did the next episode immediately following that. So that's why she was also featured on the program. But a lot of untapped potential, especially being paired with Candace, and especially during a time where, listen, both of these girls could do something on their own, but like they're so good together, especially when we're trying to grow depth to the women's tag team division. They could have did a lot more with Candace and Indy, but it seemed like they were always stuck at like maybe a pre-show on a PLE, and it's just like they could have done better.
For me, you always need that. Somebody's got to be the pre-show.
Well, I don't
and
disagree.
I was fine with that. Also, let me just say that I watched Johnny's vlog religiously, and I got tearful.
Yeah?
Yeah, they put a nice little tribute to Indy at the end. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they'd even mention. I figured there would be something, but I didn't know it would already be at the end of this week's episode.
Yeah.
And, man, got me good. Ooh, I wasn't quite ready for that. And I don't know if I was just having an emotional day or what, but whew, that one got me.
Yeah.
So shout out to whoever produced that and put everything together. And man, it hurt my heart.
Yeah.
That I know that's their travel partner and their buddy, and also I'm left wondering was Virgil's torso in her suitcase, and will she take that traveling with her wherever she goes? Does she go back to Australia? Doesn't she live right across the street from Johnny and Candace? It looked that way in the vlog.
I don't know if she lives directly across the street because I feel like I would see her a lot more often. But I mean,
she doesn't like to be seen by you. I've heard that from multiple people.
That's not true.
A lot of people
listen. We played. We went on the Toy Story ride together. All right, at Disney.
What?
All right, we scored very high in the shooting gimmick with the aliens. All right, and also we played Fireball Island together. Okay, which is a legendary game that we usually play at least once a year around the holiday season. And I was so glad that she was a part of that. So
I think she could make another career just by going to various Planet Fitnesses and ranking them. She'd go around the world and do it.
That's a thing that she likes to do. So, but I do think all of these guys are going to be making their money back and having a.
Do you think any of them are going to AEW? That's an obvious question right there. Or what do they call the other one? Is it back to TNA?
It's TNA.
Yeah, TNA. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I could see them signing at either one of those places. But I don't know. I think Corbin might be better suited just doing the indies, like a GCW or something, like Matt Cardona.
Yeah.
Like, you know what
I could
mean?
see him going to TNA, though, and calling himself, like, Big League Baron Corbin. Mm-hmm. And, like, he big leagues everyone. He doesn't shake anybody's hand that you see backstage,
I like that.
stuff.
I like
and
that.
And then he's just shitty to everybody. When they have him come out, he's disgusted that he has to only perform in front of 5,000 people or whatever.
Yeah. My concern with the girls, though, if they end up going to somewhere like AEW, I feel like it would be a big deal for a week, and then they'll just get lost in the shuffle.
We saw that with Heidi.
Dory, yeah.
Yes.
Ruby,
Ruby, yeah.
Ruby Soho.
Ruby, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you show up, you're a big deal for a month, and then you're not. So like
Soraya?
I would rather have these girls. I mean, listen, if the money's there, take the money. But I think these girls have a lot of potential to rebuild their brand on the indies for a little bit before they sign a contract somewhere. And I think they'll do very well on personal appearances and
I have
autograph
to ask the
signings.
obvious question.
What's that?
Which one of them do you think will sign on to do only wrestlers? That's what we talked about a couple weeks ago, right?
We did that
Rob
on
Van
Patreon.
Dam's.
We talked about it on that Patreon. I've literally seen no one cover a story about only wrestlers.
Okay.
So I don't know how plentiful.
So really, we're the only wrestlers that know about it, and I'm not much of a wrestler, so it's just you. I think you should get on it.
I'm okay on Patreon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that seems like it's going to be better.
What if we took the podcast to only wrestlers?
Also, it seems I don't know. One of the things in the Rob Van Dam pitch, which I love Rob, great wrestler, good guy, been on lots of shows with him, had conversations with Rob. If one of your pitches in your how this is a site only for wrestlers, but then during the pitch you say like, also we're not going to have just wrestlers, we're going to have like
Fans.
other artists and fans, and so it's like, so what is this exactly? Like it sounds like more like a it's like a mixture of Patreon, but also like a Facebook, like a social media.
I was just gonna say
And
MySpace.
It's so difficult to grow and cultivate a new social media platform, especially when there's already so many options out there. And like you're I feel like you're already you're putting yourself in a box by calling it only wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like, but then saying like, well, we're gonna have other people too, so don't call it only wrestlers.
Yeah, maybe only athletes.
Yeah,
No, wait.
I don't know.
Only people.
Only people. Only people.
Like, dogs aren't allowed to be on it.
Hey, stop being lonely, people. Sign up for only people. So I don't know, but anyways, yeah. Listen, I wish the best of luck for Indy, Tegan, and Baron going forward. And, let us know your thoughts on the situation. Like, could they have done more with all three of those individuals, or do you think it's time to call it a day? Also,
Big League Baron Corbin is my new favorite wrestler. If that's not a thing, how do I get in touch with him?
John McChesney's going to be very upset that this is your pitch.
Yeah, well, he was better as Fabulous John McChesney anyways. Okay, one more time.
I almost spilled my drink.
One more time.
I almost spilled my drink.
For the second time.
Sorry. I
What's
caught
going
it.
on?
I was just
Is
going to
your
say.
good arm giving out?
No, it might. Well, I did hurt it this weekend wrestling in near South Bend, Indiana. I don't remember the exact town. I don't want to say. I want to say Mississauga, but that's Canada. Something with an M.
Okay.
I feel bad.
So whatever, but you wrestled there. Who did you wrestle?
I wrestled Karn Alexander. It was his first match back after 10 years. He did some stuff for OVW back in the day, and it was a good time. But also, you know what? I ran into Trevor Lee. Haven't seen him in a long time.
Is that he did something somewhere?
NXT $1 Million Champion.
Yeah, it's him. Yeah. What was his name though?
It was what was his WWE name? Cameron Grimes. Yes, but it was nice catching up with him a little bit. And you know who else was on the show that I didn't even see announced, but it was nice seeing him perform and meeting him. Reggie.
Oh,
Reggie was on
dude,
the show.
I would love to see that guy.
Dude,
in
he's
person.
awesome.
Yeah,
and his deal is obviously he did like Circus Olay or something,
Yeah.
which it's weird that more Circus Olay people haven't tried to transition into pro wrestling, because I feel like
because the narrative was so bad for such a long time. I would never do that.
Yeah.
I would never lower myself to be part of a wrestling circus.
Well, Reggie's great.
Yeah.
He's fucking man, dude. He's amazing.
That guy, sky's the limit for him, and then he could probably reach the stars.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I did this week. But I kind of hurt my bicep a little bit in the match. But we had a fun little match. Also, randomly, I want to point out that for this promotion, Pro Wrestling King, the ring that I wrestled in was not only, I believe it was an 18x18, but the canvas was a WWE 2K24 ring canvas.
Oh.
So I don't know the deal on that. Like, I don't know if this was a canvas used for, I would imagine, for the video game. And
No,
they,
I think what it was WWE sponsors this wrestling federation.
I
that you
don't
were
think
in.
that's
Oh.
true. But hey, how about we take a commercial break?
Wait, I want to talk more about your wrestling event.
What do you
this
want to talk
weekend.
about?
I don't know. How was it getting there?
It's fine.
How long was the drive?
It was about, well, it was supposed to be like 3.5, but I cut it down to about 3.
Uh-huh. Did you
No.
work out beforehand?
I did.
What'd you do? You get there a lot early so you could go work out, or did you work out?
I worked out at the Planet Fitness near my house. Did some back and biceps. Did a little bit of abs.
Mhm.
And then I hit the road. Got to the show about 5 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
Show was at 7.
Yeah.
Match was number 4. Yeah, and I got out there at like a decent time at like 10:30, and the time change helped me with some sleep.
Yeah.
You know, so that was nice. But all in all, I
you
survived.
get paid?
I got paid.
Oh.
I got paid, brother. But yeah, it was a good time. But hey, enough about that. Let's take a break.
Uh-huh.
All right. And when we come back, we'll talk about Cody Rhodes and body shaming in professional wrestling. And we'll also talk about WWE ID and maybe go through some pros and perhaps some cons of this new program launched by the Fed when we come back.
Hey, I know we got a segment about body shaming coming up,
Yes.
but I don't see anybody body shaming you. Why is that, Greg?
Well, it's because I use supplements from TNT Health, TNT-health.com. I'm using their creatine, their glutamine. They're helping me for my pre and my post-workout. The organic protein over on the website, which is perfect to mix with a little bit of water. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I'm staying in the best shape of my life because Mike and the good folks at TNT Health are helping me on my fitness journey, and they're going above and beyond the call of duty. Mike helps me with my macros. He checks in on me to make sure that I'm staying on my fitness journey, but if I stray just a little bit, it's okay because he doesn't want me to be perfect. He doesn't expect that. He only wants me to get 70 to 80% of results, and because, you know, sometimes I'm going to want a cheat meal, and you're going to want a cheat meal too, but there are so many things that you can get over at TNT-health.com. You can get pre-workout, post-workout, a wide variety of pro hormones and a variety of other things over on the website that you can invest in. And if you use our promo code IRONON, IRONON, you can save 10%. That's right, 10% off anything you buy. So check it out. It's free to check out, but we suggest you purchase something because, you know, at TNT-health.com, it's about your health today, not tomorrow.
Well, speaking of tomorrow, I guess that can lead us right into, I've got this idea for a design.
Oh, boy.
Do you know anybody that's doing designs for like stickers or T-shirts or banners or flags?
I would say probably Juan Ortizan of the Dead Designs.
Oh, that's a good buddy of ours, right?
He is, very much so.
Juan of the Ortiz.
Yes.
Good buddy.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have an idea for him.
Okay.
And here's what I'd like to get. I'd like to get...
Now, hold on.
Oh.
I want you to be mindful.
Yes.
He's busy, especially with the holiday season coming up. And he's done some very notable works of art for many of the top wrestlers in the industry today. And, you know, his stuff has been in Hot Topic and on action figures. So it's like, I mean, he's going to make time for you.
Yeah.
But I need it to be a reasonable design that isn't going to interfere with, you know, his train of thought as he creates all these wonderful designs for so many people with the holiday season.
What do you
upon
mean,
us.
like The Undertaker?
Yeah.
The Young Bucks?
Seth Rollins?
Tell me somebody. Seth Rollins?
Yeah, Seth freaking Rollins.
Wow. Okay. What about you? Has he ever done a design for you?
Yeah.
And for me?
Yes. Yes,
Oh.
we've both been on the same design.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was thinking of something here, and it involved clouds.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
What?
Yep. Yeah,
Jesus Christ on clouds?
He has been on clouds.
Okay, so we got Jesus Christ on one cloud.
Mhm.
And we've got Norm MacDonald on the other one.
Oh, okay.
And Norm is doing stand-up for Jesus.
Okay. Is OJ there?
Yes.
Oh.
But he's in a white Bronco driving by the clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wearing black gloves, just like Hulk Hogan wore.
Oh, boy.
You know
okay.
what they say about a guy in black gloves and a do-rag.
What do they say exactly?
I don't know. It doesn't fit what I was telling my design for.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jesus has now left the building.
Okay.
And the cloud has now, it's vacated.
What did Jesus go to do?
Listen to stand-up from Norm. Who wouldn't?
Okay. All right.
And so Norm says, I'm getting off this cloud too, and I'm getting in the truck with OJ. So he gets in the truck with OJ, right? He's in the way back. And they're looking at these clouds that are empty. And he says, you know what we need? Jack Nicholson.
I don't even feel like OJ and Norm Macdonald would be getting along this well.
Okay, so Jack Nicholson's on one cloud.
Okay.
And who's the other guy?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, if I threw a pickle against the window,
Okay.
yeah, who would the other guy be?
Oh, former guest of the show. What's his face from Billy Madison? Oh boy, I probably should know his name.
No. What was the contest? It was who's hotter, Jack Nicholson now or Meg Ryan?
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay, she's on the other cloud.
But is this Jack Nicholson now or 1974?
Now, not 1974 because obviously Jack Nicholson has passed on.
Yeah, but like, just because you died, do you take that form of what you are in that moment, or do you get to pick who you are?
Well, which one's hotter?
Like, how did he die? Do you go up to heaven with like your wounds from like whatever happened to you? Like, if you get hit by a bus, are you like you know? Do you have like remnants from the bus like on your body? If you're burned in a fire, are you like
All right, scratch all that.
Okay.
On one cloud is Jack Nicholas, and on the other cloud is his big huge dong because it fits it. He unfolds it, and it goes onto that cloud.
So not Arnold Palmer.
Oh,
the other golfer, Jack Nichols.
You know all these golfers.
I
Big
know
ones.
I know two. You happen to name the two that I know. So, anyways, this design does not sound well. But if you have a design that you'd like want to, create for you, you could reach out to them, and you could actually save $20 on your first design if you use our promo code, which is pardon. You got to use a part. I just made that up. You don't got to use a promo code.
Nope, never
Just fucking
once.
tell them that.
It's not
What the fuck?
Manscaped.
I did. Yeah, my brain went back to Manscaped when they actually gave us money. Just reach out to Juan and be like, "Hey, I heard your ad on Iron on Wrestling, and I want to save $20 on my design, motherfucker." And he'll be like, "Hey,
Juan don't even make you do an Iron On code or
no code necessary." So just reach out to him, tell him what you want, tell him you want to save $20, and make sure you reach out to him on Instagram at Of The Dead Designs, Facebook.com/Of The Dead Designs, or go to his website. What is it, Aaron?
Weebly.
Ofthedead.weebly.com.
Weeblyinthehouse.com.
.org.
I'm sorry.
Don't listen to this guy.
Sorry.
Because Juan Ortiz and Of The Dead Designs, they're bringing artwork to life. So, now that we've talked about all that, I guess we should talk about Cody's recent, somewhat controversial comments about body shaming. Now,
Yeah,
you
tell
heard
me.
about this, but you don't know exactly what the comments are, do you?
No. All I saw were comments directed towards Cody that said, "Hey, your dad was the least in shape wrestler of all time."
Okay. So, Cody Rhodes was on the Flagrant podcast, which I want to check it out. He talked for like 3 hours on there, so I'm sure he covered a lot of ground. But during a portion where he's talking about body-shaming wrestlers, this is what he had to say. Quote, "This is a vanity business. There's this weird online contingent that doesn't realize how important that physique is. We're wrestling with our shirt off, folks. It's okay to go to the gym. And you hear fans be like, you can't body shame wrestlers. What are you talking about? We're standing there half naked and you're paying hundreds of dollars to see us. Body shame me all you want." End quote. That's his quote. So, you not knowing what the quote was and seeing tweets that said, like, your dad was fucking fat.
I don't think I saw that comment,
Well,
but
I
get it.
you said, like, it's like,
Yeah.
was this person, like, trying to make the argument? Like,
Yeah, it seemed like that they were saying, "Hey, you're against people being out of shape."
yeah.
And I think it sounds more like when I hear the entire quote that he said, like, do whatever you want. It's okay to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You paid hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, so, like, gosh, it's like I'm sort of indifferent about the quote, because on one hand it's
Well,
like,
I like that he used the same thing that you use, where you say, "Look, I'm in a vanity business." Because you used to tell that to your girlfriend all the time when she would say, "You always got to be out there half naked." Or not this girlfriend, but one of your many, many previous girlfriends.
Okay.
Many.
All right. I always say it's a very cosmetic business.
Yeah, yeah.
And I still say it as a joke.
But it is.
But also, like, I mean,
It's
again,
not a joke.
We've talked on the show where it's like I probably have some form of body dysmorphia, right, based on how concerned I am constantly about my physique. And then I have to remember that for a 38-year-old man, I'm in better shape than the majority.
For a what-year-old man?
38-year-old man.
Oh, okay. It sounded like you only said 30, and I wanted to make
38-year-old man.
Okay.
I think I'm in pretty goddamn good shape, all things considered. But, like, I still want to be my personal best, right? So here's the thing. Again, so it makes me think about, like, when I had a discussion with Stone Cold on his podcast about, like, when fans take over a show with chants, should they be allowed to do that? Is that a thing that should be allowed to happen? And I don't remember what I said at the time, but, like, I don't know, they paid their money, right? And sometimes when they take over the show, they're doing that probably because, like, there's something that they're bored by, or there's something else they'd rather see, right? So that's why I think sometimes the chants happen. Very rarely does it happen because they're being assholes. One of the things that comes to mind, like, that was very asshole-ish, is when they interrupted the show when they introduced, like, the Universal Championship because they didn't like it, right? And They started shitting all over the belt during the match and not focusing on the really, really, really good match that Finn Balor and Seth Rollins had. Or, coincidentally, I think it was also involving Seth Rollins when they were doing the countdown during the Iron Man match with Dolph Ziggler. I'm pretty sure it was Dolph Ziggler. So every 1 minute that would go by in this Iron Man match, when it would get to 10 seconds before the next minute, they would do the countdown as if it was a Royal Rumble. And it was very distracting and stupid and annoying. So, like, when it gets to, it's like when you're just doing it to entertain yourself, like, that's fucked. Constructive criticism on a physique, I think, is okay. Should we be, like, bullying someone because they're maybe not in a shape? Or, because, like, listen, we've talked about on the show before, I don't think every wrestler needs to look the same. I loved that I came up in a period where you could look like Hulk Hogan and be, like, sort of jacked but still have, like, a belly. You could look like Ravishing Rick Rude, being, like, super, super duper cut, big arms. You could be Ultimate Warrior, where you're just like, I don't even know how you got that physique. Well, I mean, I have some guesses, but, it's just like an out-of-this-world type physique. Or you could be Earthquake. Like, there was, clearly this man was in shape of some sort, but he wasn't like a gym freak like a Hogan or a Rude or something. So it's like you can have different body types. And, like, if we talk about wrestling today, Kevin Owens doesn't have the typical body type of a bodybuilder, but you could tell based on, especially when he worked indies, like, dude is trimmed down, right? There is some semblance of an athlete. And obviously when you see what he does in the ring, even when he didn't have the best physique, he's always been incredibly athletic. I think the problem is some people that get in the business use wrestlers with the outside the norm physique to just be like, well, I don't have to work out. Yeah, there's more to it than that. There's still a level of strength and conditioning that goes along with it, so these guys don't get hurt and they can be in performing shape. Yeah. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you're fucking pestering someone online, then perhaps maybe that's not the right way to go about it. But if if it's constructive criticism, then whatever the fuck. I'll give you an example I had this past weekend, and you could see how I felt instantly about it. So I'm at intermission for the show, okay?
Yeah.
A gentleman walks up to me. And he goes, hey, I was really impressed with what you did in the ring tonight. I was like, okay. And I would have guessed this guy was probably about 60. He ends up telling me, unprompted, that he just turned 74 years old, okay? And that he's a strength and conditioning coach somewhere locally in wherever the fuck, Indiana. So I said, oh, cool, man. And he goes, you have a good physique, but I feel like I can make you better. What do you do for your workouts? And he starts rambling. And then he starts like saying stuff that's like kind of like backhanded compliments. Like he's like you know, your abs are good, but like, you know, they're not great, right? You could get better. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this right now.
Now I'm ready to be done with the conversation.
See, now I'm starting to check out because it's like you're kind of like, this seems like unnecessary to talk to me this way.
Yeah.
Like if you think that's a thing that maybe I can improve on, maybe that's not the way to say it. But then outside of my physique, he gets to a point. So listen to this. He tells me, I've never been to a wrestling show, but I'm really entertained by this. He's like, and you have something special. Now I got to say, your promo needs a little bit of work. Oof. You could have you could have a little bit of charisma with your promo. And at that point I'm like,
now I'm done.
I personally wanted to be like, you know what, motherfucker? I didn't ask for your feedback.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you showed up, but don't talk to me. Because I'm like, it's almost like a thing that like a guy would do to a woman. Like, you know, you're cute, but you'd look much better if you straighten your hair. Like, get the fuck away from me, dude.
Yeah.
Like, why are you even coming at me with this? Like, you know, you should smile more. How about, and also, like, dude, you outed yourself. You don't even you've never even been to a wrestling show? Shut the fuck up and get away from me. Now, it sounds like I'm pretty offended, right?
Yeah.
But it's the way he went about it that offended me. Now, again, as a wrestler, if we're not just even talking about physiques, like there are two guys that there were two matches that I watched in the show for the wrestlers. One of which is a listener to the show. And I had some constructive criticism for his match. There was another match that I watched where one of the main constructive criticisms for this individual was his physique. But I didn't walk up to him and say, like, hey, man, you're kind of a flabby fuck, dude. So, like, you need to do something about that. Because that's the wrong way to go about it.
Yes. Revealing that on the air on a podcast that's listened to by thousands of people is the way to do it.
I'm not even saying he's a flabby fuck. What I'm saying is, like that would be very mean to go about it. But also, like, when I talked to these guys about their matches, you know, I made sure to tell them, like, hey, these are the things that I liked, okay? I wanted to make sure they knew, like, yo, this wasn't all bad. Here are these good things. However, you did this here, and I don't think it made sense. You did this as a heel, and it looked like it was more of a babyface thing. You did this as a babyface. This seemed like more of a heel thing. Mm-hmm. What's the story going forward that you guys had a miscommunication here? Like, is there a story going forward? Or are you just doing that for yourself? Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm asking questions, seeing, like, why they did certain things, and I'm hoping in the course of this conversation that they at least take one thing that I said and say, hey, you know, that's not bad, and, like, let's try to improve upon it. So, listen, I guess what I'm trying to say in this rambling here is that, like, if people want to construct and judge wrestlers based on their physique, I think it's okay. If you're an asshole about it, and specifically, if you look like shit and then you're going to, like, try to be a dick about judging another wrestler's physique, maybe you should take a long, hard look in the mirror and, you know, reevaluate stuff. Because, like, there's got to be something, as someone who watches actual sports, Aaron, to this as far as, like, I always find it interesting when someone who doesn't play football or doesn't play baseball or doesn't play basketball and is definitely not in shape is just like, this motherfucker sucks.
Yeah.
He should be doing this and this and this. And it's like, I mean, I think you can acquire some sort of knowledge from being a lifelong fan, but it's like, do you really have any right to say anything? Where do you fall on this whole body shaming thing?
A lot of times what I like is I do like hearing stuff from people that aren't wrestling fans because I'm always looking to bring in new fans to convert people.
Sure.
So if they say, like, man, I loved the intensity that you had during your promo, except it went on too long, then I know, I should probably tighten that up.
Yeah.
Because my normal fan base is cool with me going longer.
Yeah.
But I'm losing people that I want to bring into the fold.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. At the same time, you know, I think it's very difficult to. I don't have that big of an ego where I can go, Nick Chubb should probably do more bench presses. You if he wants to be a better running back all around, because if he's only doing squats and deadlifts, that can only take you so far.
Sure.
That's not even my business.
Yeah.
These athletes, they're making millions of dollars. Why? Because they're the best at what they do.
Yeah.
And all of them look better than I do. So I can't really say shit. And most of the time, when you get somebody who does criticize, they're not even close.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't look that good.
Sure.
So, fuck them. That's
Fuck
what I
'em.
say.
Wow.
Yeah.
But like,
also, I respect some of them.
okay. So, but in general, like, do you think that at the end of the day, if someone like, well, particularly social media, because that's where the majority is happening, body shaming?
Well, I just think that's what
Is it right or
social
wrong?
media is for.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right. But also, it's not the worst thing in the world, because that's kind of what social media is about.
Yeah.
People just say shit all the time, and a lot of it's disgusting what people say.
Yeah.
And people are mean on purpose. People troll on purpose. It's all good.
Well, yeah, they do it
because they're doing it. They're doing that from where they are, and you're actually doing what you're doing.
And sometimes, especially the trolls, it's like very rarely do they have a real account with a real face. It's like a nameless, faceless type situation where you can just get away with it. Like there's something you're lacking in your personal life that you have to do this to make yourself feel better. And that's just kind of sad.
Because you're just at home on your computer.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if you're at home. You might be on your phone, but chances are you're not out doing anything.
Yeah. And listen, again, at the end of the day, I'm all about constructive criticism, because I don't want someone to sugarcoat shit, and I want you to tell me how it is so I can be better. Because I think too often, again, using my own personal experience in other areas of wrestling, I think far too often that I think in the case of one of these wrestlers that I talked to this weekend, it's like they wanted me to watch their match, but they just wanted me to tell them after how great they are. And because I came back with them with some criticism, constructive criticism, that I could just kind of see that they tuned out. You don't get better by just thinking that you're already great and then asking for feedback because you feel like that's the politically correct thing to do. You should ask for feedback because you genuinely want to get better. And I don't know. I think sometimes if a guy goes out of the way to criticize you in a constructive way, or a fan, I think that's perfectly okay. But you gotta know how to word it. It's like anything in life. Like your approach, your impression is very, very important. And also, I want to point out that this old man who went on to judge my promo, my physique, the whole time he had this very long, I would say at least 1 inch nose hair coming out of the tip of his nose.
Yeah, you should have criticized him.
I wanted to be like, hey, you old fuck, when's the last time you looked in the mirror and saw, like, he had no hair on his head, but he had this long fucking nose hair just protruding out of his face, where I'm like, why don't you go pluck that thing, you fucking ugly bastard? But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of nose hair. Maybe that's some sort of fashion statement that he's trying to make.
For 74-year-old men or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I have one of the longest nose hairs that has ever been seen by anyone.
Is that an old man voice?
That is my old man voice right now.
All right, very impressive.
Thank you.
All right.
I've been working on it.
All right, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good.
All right, let's talk about WWE ID, something that was just launched.
Yeah, see, and I didn't know anything about it. And, well, I'll just say it. We both have friends that are in WWE, and none of them gave us the Iggy on it.
Well, so I'll say this. I don't know how much anybody knew about WWE.
So it was a secret? Only Triple H knew?
I'm not saying it's a secret. I am not now. Listen, it was officially announced this past week, and I'm going to...
You asked me something that bothered me last week or gave me anxiety and stuff, and I was like, yeah, sometimes I feel like I don't get the proper respect, or we don't get the proper respect we deserve, and I feel like this is a case of that.
Why do you feel disrespected by this?
Because no one ever reached out and said, hey, we're going to be doing an independent thing. Would you guys think you might be... Because I thought I was a good commentator.
I don't know if this involves commentators, though.
I don't care.
All right.
I want to at least know about it.
But why do you need to know about it?
I felt like, well, somebody would have thought of us. Why do you think nobody said anything to you? Like, you're much more involved in wrestling. Like, I can kind of understand me, and I always make excuses like, I've been out of it for a while, so people don't think of me anymore. But you are still wrestling on a fairly regular basis.
Listen, I don't know how many people knew for how long. I'll tell you this. I know someone that did know that told a friend of mine who is trying to actively, get more notoriety. Okay, I found this out last weekend, maybe the weekend prior. I'm trying to think of my timeline here. And then I was like, wow, I didn't know that they're signing indie guys to contracts. I haven't heard anything about this, but I don't.
Right, that's my beef.
But here's the thing.
I thought you should have been called, if anything. Well, somebody should have said something to you. You got friends that are in the WWE.
Again, I don't know how many people know.
One of your friends is you just hung out with him and took a picture at his desk and said he was Shawn Michaels' right-hand man.
I don't know if he knew.
How would he not know if he's Shawn Michaels' right-hand man?
I don't know, but even if I did know, I don't know what I'm supposed to.
I don't like it.
Listen,
I can have my opinion.
That's fine. So let me read the report about WWE ID. This is the press release issued on October 29th. WWE ID is the latest in our efforts to identify and support the journey of up-and-coming wrestlers, in turn raising the profile of and strengthening the independent wrestling ecosystem, said WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque. Following the 2021 launch of WWE's NIL program, the WWE ID has been constructed to support independent wrestling prospects and wrestling schools with world-class training, development, and mentorship. Under the program, WWE will provide prominent independent wrestling schools with the WWE ID official designation, with the goal of offering new trainees and existing talent at these select institutions with enhanced developmental opportunities. Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory, Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy, Elite Pro Wrestling Training Center in Concord, New Hampshire, and Knox Pro Wrestling Academy in Los Angeles. It's not listed as such, but I believe that is Rikishi School. These are all the first WWE ID independent wrestling schools to earn the official designation. Additionally, WWE ID will identify top independent wrestling prospects with an official WWE ID prospect designation and support their developmental journey by providing financial opportunity and assisting with training, mentorship, and development, including access to world-class facilities, best-in-class ring training, etc., etc. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Apparently, it has leaked online since this announcement that there have been multiple independent wrestlers already under contracts related to WWE ID program, but this hasn't leaked out until just now, so I don't know. These guys must have been under strict orders not to really tell anybody that this was happening, and I can understand why. From what I hear, I don't know if the number has been put out there, but from what I hear, this is roughly, they're getting paid $500 a week. And $500 a week, I mean, obviously, the value of $500 used to be a lot more back when like OVW was a thing. That would be some of the contracts, 20, 25 years ago, would hear $500 a week. It sounds to me like this is perhaps just like give these guys like some incentive to maybe invest in themselves a little bit better on the indies. If they see a potential in someone, perhaps maybe you could use this $500 to, because I feel like you would still probably have to work maybe a real gig. I'm assuming you would get paid on top of that if you're working other indie shows, clearly. But I do feel like the $500 is like, invest in some good gear. This might help with your travel, some room and board if you're staying somewhere. If you're investing in doing stuff on YouTube to help develop your character, I think that's all very important. I think it's just a little incentive of an investment from WWE. But I want to elaborate on it more, but I want to read some of these tweets from the promoter of C4 Wrestling, who said this in regards to WWE ID. The point of independent wrestling is for talent to discover themselves and develop themselves, to grow, to learn. If you claim to be an independent but are bound to a billion-dollar company, you're not an independent. If you're a young trainee, there is no fast track to the big leagues. I know when you're 19, 20, 21, etc., it may feel like it is now or never type situation to make a career in wrestling. Don't rush yourself. Pride yourself on growing and traveling. Take your early years to learn, travel, have experiences that are outside the box. The art of professional wrestling is not experienced in a one-size-fits-all box. I wouldn't want to promote shows and use talent that fit into a cookie-cutter assembly line. I promise any young kid out there that shows potential, that's spending 5 to 10 years making a name for themselves, developing and becoming confident in their own skin by traveling and working a variety of talents, is going to make you much more valuable than what school you pick. I feel like I have some value in my opinion, having done this for nearly 2 decades, but nobody I've seen gain success in wrestling did it by following a predetermined path of taking an easy route. Anyway, these are my immediate feelings. Maybe there's more to come that will prove me wrong. Blah, blah, blah. I tweeted some more stuff, but in general, I think he seems to have some concerns about WWE ID. I don't know. Let's sort of weigh this out. Yeah, there is no clear-cut path to WWE. Do I think that when these kids get signed, that they may pick their... Well, again, so before you even get signed, let's go with this.
Yeah.
If you know that there's 5 or 6 schools that are under the WWE ID banner, perhaps maybe that's going to sway your decision on where you try to train if you're an aspiring wrestler. I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. Again, back in the day, I paid for 2 camps at OVW, even when WWE wasn't necessarily directly linked with OVW anymore, because I had the opportunity to be seen by WWE. That was my goal, right?
Right.
I think going to a credible school is a good idea. Do I think that these wrestlers could become cookie cutter? Maybe. Possibly, especially if you're working for these companies under the WWE ID banner that know what WWE is looking for, a specific style, a specific look. I think there's potential for that, but I also think that if you are trying to grow on the indies, I think you're still going to work other indie shows, and you're going to have to, you'd think that you'd be smart enough to try to adapt to those styles. You're going to work shit shows. You're going to have to bring yourself down to some other people's level to get a good match. But also there's going to be guys that you work with that are going to help you think outside the box and bring you up. But you have to be open to those things. There was an argument online that I saw that, some people were saying like, well, if they're signed to a WWE contract, that like, what if AEW makes them an offer? They can't take it. Well, I don't want to say, hey, dumbass, but hey, dumbass, if you're signing a WWE ID deal, I think you already know, like, you're not going to go to AEW. I think if you're signing a contract with WWE, I think you want to go to WWE. I don't think they'll be like, oh, shucks, I can't go do AEW now or TNA or whatever. It's like, I think that's just a dumb way of looking at it. Yeah, I don't know. I can understand the concern about some of these things, but I think the biggest benefit is perhaps some guys on the indies that maybe have been doing it for a little bit. I'm not saying like you're 18, 20-year guys like myself, but I mean that could be an option too. But I'm saying guys that have maybe been looked past by like an MLW or by a TNA or maybe even AEW, that it's like, oh, these guys have potential to grow. I think WWE giving them $500 a week, investing in them, showing interest in them, seeing if their backing can help these guys grow. I don't think these guys who are already working the indies regularly are going to fall into a slump of like, well, this is what WWE wants, so this is what I'm going to give them. You're going to want to adjust to what your employer wants to some extent, but I think if you are a regular on the indies and they're investing time and money into you, I think they probably already like what you're doing, and that's why they're giving you the money. I don't know. What do you think of this whole program?
It sounds good.
It's a positive, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think it's WWE trying to monopolize the indies?
I don't think the WWE cares about the indies.
Because
I think you're just always looking for talent, and this is a smart way to find more talent.
Yeah.
And to start developing the talent earlier.
Because I feel like there's some sort of concern that this is WWE like poaching talent, much like they did to to some people, they thought the UK scene when they started launching WWE UK. But also, you could argue
But they said that when the WWE was NXT. Oh, they're trying to shut down the indies.
Yeah, that is true. And
WWE signed Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Finn Balor, and people were losing their minds. Like, the whole indie scene's gone now. You signed like 6 guys.
Well, also, I mean, here's the thing, too. It's like you got to look at it like this. The U.S., North America in general, much larger than, the U.K., right? Like, and I think the scene over there, like most places, I think most countries have like little shitty indies. There's a lot of little shitty indies in the UK. The amount of very prominent places are few and far between. There are some really, really great places in the UK, but it's even if you're quote unquote poaching all the top talent, more talent is going to spring up. And it's not just going to be from WWE ID places, right? Yeah. There's enough guys working the indies that are still not going to get signed that can help grow and develop young talent into something special. I don't see this as a concern. I think it could be a benefit for the most part. And also, here's one last thing that I was hearing from the internet is there's going to be a lot of concerns about guys not wanting to lose because they are under a WWE ID contract. I don't think that's been an issue yet. If supposedly there's like a handful of guys under the contract, if that's the case, you think that would have leaked out that say some guy doesn't want to lose because he's secretly signed to.
Plus, if you don't want to lose, then WWE probably doesn't want you.
Yeah, I don't think the mindset is like, hey, brother, we have you under this $500 a week contract, so you can't lose. I think the idea is like,
you want people to lose so that they're accustomed to losing, and you don't come in with the huge ego.
And here's the thing too. I think the benefit of this is like you have these guys who are going to be under these contracts where we're in a time where, let's say if you're working for an NXT, they're not doing as many live events as they used to. So yeah, these guys still have to come to training regularly, but you can only get so much in training. You need to be out there in front of a live crowd, even if it's a crowd of fucking 10 or 20 people, to get those reps to try to understand like this is going to work in front of a live crowd. Maybe this isn't going to work. A lot of times
I learned more from working in front of a really small crowd.
Yeah. And so I think that's the benefit of the WWE ID thing. It's like, hey, we want to go to this school. We want to give you this money to help you out a little bit. And I just think that it's important for these guys we're in a time where, and WWE has said themselves, like, hey, going forward in the next couple of years, we're cutting back even more on live events. I think it's nice that they can give an independent guy or, even if you don't consider them an independent, someone working for one of these schools, and I imagine that there's going to probably be a few more schools that pop up under the WWE ID banner. I think it's nice that they can go out there on your standard indie show and different types of indie shows and get reps. Like you're going to get a different reaction from a crowd in LA than you're going to get from a crowd in West Virginia. And you're going to get a different reaction from a small town in Indiana than you're going to get from a more rabid crowd in Philadelphia. So I think that's, I don't know. I don't really see... I see the potential in the downsides, but I think the positive is going to outweigh the negatives. And also, it could be one of those things where it's like, this is just the kick that they're on right now. Like, a year ago where it was like, we want to recruit these athletes or whatever, which, by the way, that's still something they're actively doing. When I was at NXT, there was a young lady, I think she's like 18 or 19, that she just won the gold medal in wrestling this past year. She was in the crowd She was in the crowd at NXT, hanging out there. I don't think they showed her on camera, but I recognized her from Instagram, and so I was like, oh, they're probably, as soon as I saw she won the gold medal, I was like, oh, they're probably going to try to sign her, and it seemed like they were sort of catering to that. So it's like, it might be just one of those things where it's like they get in the mindset sometimes of like, well, you can't be over 40 years old or you're not getting signed. You have to be 25 and over 6 foot. It's like, they could just be going through the stage again where it's like, we want to have this WWE ID thing and maybe sign some indie guys and see if we can develop them without having them directly in the Performance Center. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we spent way too much time on this topic.
Really?
But what does it stand for? ID.
indecent, independent
Diplomat.
development. Oh, that might actually be
independent development.
That might actually be
Okay.
it. I just came up with that.
Yeah,
But
I like it.
also, I don't think we'd spend too much time on this. I feel like I
Okay.
offered a lot more to this topic than you did, you son of a
Well,
bitch.
I know because anytime I talk, you go, "We got to hurry this up." So I don't.
I did not.
Listen to 90% of the podcast.
That's not true. That's not true at all.
Okay.
Nothing you want to add.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I think it's time to move on.
Let's take some questions from social media.
Yeah, I
shall
know
we?
we got a lot. We've already gone 3 hours, so.
Do you want to save Eric's Pokemon questions for Patreon?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Because we
You can ask maybe one on here, but
Jeez.
this is not a Pokemon Go podcast, although I love Pokemon Go more than anything, more than you.
Eric said he took a break from Pokemon Go. He didn't say Pokemon Go, but I know that's what you're talking about, you son of a bitch. Since December, I got a rank 290 Ultra League Shadow Charizard that I was saving up for, but I don't know if I continue doing so since it costs 140,000 Stardust. Is it worth it? #ask.
You know what? The Stardust is very hard to come by, so I would
Especially
hold
now
off
that
on
he's
that.
doing the American Nightmare thing.
You are so right.
Yeah.
So there's a question that was just answered by me and Greg.
Okay.
So I'd say no on that one, Greg. Your final response. One word answer.
Bleh.
Okay.
Juan Ortiz says, have you ever pulled a "that doesn't work for me, brother" for a match outcome? And why did you feel so strongly about that? I'm trying to think. If I did, I
You
wouldn't.
did.
I would never. What?
Well, I know what it was.
When?
You and Jerry.
Well, so here's the thing. I was going to say, I would never say that doesn't work for me. I would just find a way to try to pitch my idea better.
Well, yeah. But it was like, they wanted you to do something.
Yeah.
Were you guys?
So their idea, this was at AIW, their idea for, I'm glad you're here to remind me of this. Their idea was they wanted in a scramble match, Jerry, who was associated with me in the Iron Curtain, to pin me as I was going for a suicide dive. So they wanted us to set up a dive spot. I go for the dive, and then as I'm trying to fly out of the ring, he grabs me and schoolboys me 1, 2, 3. And me and Jerry both were like, that's not good. So, but we didn't say like, can we do something else? We were just like, we're just not going to do that. Also, they didn't want us to touch until the end of the match. And so we had some miscommunications throughout, which, in retrospect, I think the way we planned it wasn't really miscommunications. It was just kind of Jerry sort of outsmarting me, knowing that he was going to betray me anyways. And in the end, we did the classic finger poke of doom spot, but we didn't do it that way. I did the finger poke of doom, and then I went to pin Jerry, and then I did the lackluster lay over top of him cover, and then he did the crucifix pin 1, 2, 3, and fucked me out of the title, and the crowd lost their mind. And because based on the reaction, you would think that Thorne and Biggins would have been like, "Oh, that was great," but afterwards they were like, "Why didn't you do the finish we wanted?" And we're like, "Because we just thought this was better." And I mean, we'll never know for sure because we can't do the alternate finish, but I think that this was a better finish. And it all goes back to, again, despite what the internet wants to think, me and Thorne are on fine terms. But, the scenario was once pitched to me to stay at ringside after busting Veda Scott in the head with a beer bottle, watch her get beat up by other wrestlers for some reason at ringside after I eliminated myself, and then wait until she gets eliminated to then leave the area. And I thought when it was pitched to me, this doesn't sound right. It sounds like it's going to be awkward. Mm-hmm. And then the scenario played out, and listen, there's many layers to this, but as I'm standing out there after busting her with a beer bottle, and I'm watching other male wrestlers come to the ring to see a prone, bloodied woman who just got busted by a beer bottle while the guy who perpetrated this thing stands on the outside, it felt strange that no one would want to beat the fuck out of me. And after that scenario, I thought, I'm not going to try to blatantly defy promoters, but if there's a bad idea, I'm going to do what I feel is best for the scenario. And so that's what it comes down to. So, Aaron, have you ever done this on a professional wrestling show? Have you ever done a "that doesn't work for me, brother"?
Yep.
What'd you do?
Hey, bro.
Okay. With
Rod-
Rod Destiny.
Rod Destiny had proposed that we do an angle where it culminated with me getting power bombed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This was the 6th show that we did, and I had been already power bombed on the 5 previous shows.
Okay.
And I knew from the previous show that they had a power bomb counter. Like, so they had a sign, and they would just flip the sign over to the next number for how many times I had power bomb. Because one time he power bombed me 3 times on one show.
That's ridiculous.
And it was like, I shouldn't be getting up from 1. Why are you power bombing me 3 is what my thought was.
Yeah.
Also, on that previous show, fans had come up to me and said, hey, you guys think you could do something other than a power bomb tonight? And I didn't say anything that show.
Sure.
So the next show, we had set up the ring, and we were going over stuff, just practice and whatever, getting the building ready for the next day, which was a show. And he said, hey, bro, how about you try screw me over, and I powerbomb you?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, man, that don't really work for me. And he's like, what? Why? And I said, they have a powerbomb counter now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's all we ever do is powerbomb.
They know it's going to happen. It's too
Yeah,
predictable.
yeah. Is there anything else we could do? And I remember he just fucking lost it. And he was like, bro, fuck it. If this is what you want to be like, then I won't even run angles. We'll do like JT Lightning shows.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, no characters, no stories. We'll just put people in the ring together and fuck it. And I was like, all right. Could we do like a DDT then? All right, bro. That was it.
Well, also, like, what's the story? The story is that you just get powerbombed every month?
It ended up being that way.
All right.
But it wasn't, meant to be that way. But I think what happened was the first time went so well. Not the actual powerbomb,
Sure.
but the crowd reaction. Because
Yeah.
we had a sold-out crowd, 654 people.
Yeah.
And everybody lost their fucking minds to the start of the show.
So basically, Rod Destiny had like that drug addict first shot of heroin feeling. It's
And
like
he was chasing that again. Yeah, maybe.
You're never gonna get that same feeling again.
No, and again, like, I kind of was tired of getting powerbomb on my head and neck.
Yeah. Well,
So,
people blame you.
yeah, we came up with something else. I think he DDT'd me.
Okay. How was the reaction? Were they disappointed they didn't get a powerbomb?
Well, there wasn't 654 people there this time.
Okay.
There was 12 or something.
Okay.
That show was headlined by Leatherass versus Madman Pondo.
Leather ass.
Leatherface.
Okay.
Sorry.
Josh Newman, Josh Excellence asks,
Hello, Newman.
Have you watched The Substance? If so, what did you think? If not, what are you waiting for? You know what? It's on my
One
list.
of my favorite new shows.
It's a movie.
Oh.
Starring Demi Moore.
Oh.
And I have not watched it. However, I'm very intrigued by the trailer. I saw people actually dressing up as her character for Halloween. That's kind of how I noticed it. Like the week of Halloween, I was like, oh, this is a very intriguing film. I like Demi Moore. And, I will watch this film if I can get it on the Plex in the very near future here. I'm sure it'll be streaming soon. Uncle Bobby asked...
Wait.
What?
I have to make a correction. Last week I plugged it. I liked Agatha All In.
Okay.
And I said that I started watching it on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
That is a Disney Plus exclusive.
Oh, Disney guy over here, huh?
Yep. I can't believe it.
Wow.
When I found out today that I was watching it on Disney Plus, because I don't know how to work, like, these newfangled systems. I still have the WWE channel.
Yeah. And again, it's not like you're choosing to just have the WWE channel because that's what you have. You're stealing WWE channel with your illegal Fire Stick. But continue.
No. I have NordVPN.
Oh,
So it gives me the WWE channel from Saudi Arabia.
how much you paying for this Nord?
Well, they're not a sponsor of this show, but they're a sponsor of Sean Ross Sapp's show. So
Oh, okay.
I don't want to give out any more information, but
All
if
right.
you use my promo code
Shut the fuck up. All right, continue.
SRS.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, that's all I want to say is that it's on Disney Plus, and what the hell world do we live in when I'm a fan of Disney?
I don't know, man. Well, I mean, like, I feel like Disney is far expanded beyond just Disney branded type programs, but yeah. Uncle Bobby asked, "Have you seen Alien Romulus, and did you consider it Goonies in space?" You know what? I've watched some clips from the film. I've watched some trailers mocking the film, but I haven't actually watched the film. I honestly, I haven't watched any Alien movies since Alien 3. I watched the original Alien movies. I haven't even seen Alien versus Predator, which I always hear mixed feelings on that. Also, I feel like when you do a versus film, it's never really great. I know that's not the film you're asking about, but I recently rewatched Freddy vs. Jason, and even though I am a big Freddy fan, I'd like to think that the Freddy vs. Jason film is one of the better versus type films. You haven't seen any of the Alien films beyond 3, have you?
The only aliens I saw are eating our cats, and they're eating our dogs, and they're eating our pets. No, I'll tell you what, though. The last Alien film I saw,
Yeah.
The guy's finger lit up, and he went home at the end. Spoiler.
Is that E.T.?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, all right. Well, that's not... All right. How do you feel about Mac and Me?
Mac's a good friend, but I don't know.
I got you. Okay. If you don't know it,
What's
all right.
that? That's an old movie, right?
It's
It sounds old.
The generic E.T. that
Okay.
came out. Very classic film. Who else from Patreon asked questions here? That aren't stupid, Eric.
Oh, come on.
What? Matt Swistack asks, how many times have you accidentally touched someone's junk in a match? You know what? I've never really thought about it.
Come on, you know that you body slammed somebody just like Bushwhacker Luke
I was
to the
gonna
Rouges.
shut up. I was gonna say, if I was a body slammer,
Yeah.
I probably have unintentionally grabbed a bunch of junk. However, it doesn't make sense for me to do a body slam, so I don't do them in matches. So other than intentionally touching Joey Ryan's junk in a match that I had with him,
Wow.
I don't.
I can't believe.
There's not a lot of times where I've been like,
How did you fall for that?
what?
Nothing. I just can't believe how many people were like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That's going to be great. I'll grab your junk, and then sell it, and then you fuck me in the ass.
Well, that's
or
not-
whatever you guys did.
That's not the spot.
Oh.
But grabbing one's junk by accident. How many times have you done that, Aaron? In wrestling.
Yeah. I know I've done the suplex spot where you pull their trunks to the side and expose their junk.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I've accidentally grabbed the junk, there.
Okay.
And then in high school wrestling or junior high wrestling or whatever I did, I remember I grabbed some guy's junk. And then I got in a bar fight one time and I grabbed this guy's dick. He had me in a chokehold.
So you like.
So I
squeezed
reached
it?
back, and the only thing that was there, we were both on the ground. I reached back, and that was that. And I grabbed it, and then he let me go before I passed out. And then I punched him in the face, and then Chris Hero broke it up.
Oh.
It was a wing eating contest for.
What?
I got some wild stories.
Yeah,
That's all true.
I feel like that's like a whole podcast unto itself here.
Let's get Hero on the show, and he could tell it.
Hook it up. That's your boy.
Yeah. Every time I try to hook up a guest, it doesn't work out. So.
Yeah, but see, I feel like Chris
I feel
Hero
like
would
if
be
you
fine.
would do it.
But I'm not that close with Chris. I mean, I talked to him, but I haven't
Yeah,
talked
but
to him
I
in a
don't want
while.
him to go to jail. If I call him and book him for the show, something bad's going to happen.
Eric did ask, would you bite a baby? What do I get for biting the baby? Why? Is there something I'm missing here? Did someone bite a baby? Did Donald Trump bite a baby and I missed it?
Oh, I know what it is.
What is it?
Putin.
Did he bite a
Vladimir
baby?
Putin's been biting babies and that are in pajamas.
Let's ask some questions from people not on Patreon because I think we're all
Yeah,
out of
we're off the
Patreon
rails.
questions right now. Joshua Davis says, "Would you smack an old lady for $1 million?" Now I saw this earlier and I said I needed some specifics. So I said, "How old? Give me some specifics." He said, "She's 83, super sweet, like 5 foot even, gives you candy every time you see her." Calls you her grandson, even though you're not related to her in any way.
That's very detailed.
Well,
I
I
appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you, Joshua Davis. But so I will say, since you added no other steps to this, yeah, I would smack the shit out of her. And then afterwards, I'd be like, listen, I only did this because someone told me they were going to give me $1 million, and I'm willing to give you a nice portion of this money now that I slapped the fuck out of you. So I'm.
So the headline here is Gregory Iron would smack an 84-year-old woman.
83.
83-year-old.
But if she was 84, I'm not opposed to it.
She's not going to make it to 84.
But also, like, how hard am I smacking her? There's like not a.
And which hand? Because if it's the one that got me.
No, I'm not hitting her with the gimp hand.
Okay, because you can't control that.
That's all bone.
And is it a work smack? You know what I mean? And maybe you can get by with that. I would never smack an old lady. You know what I would do, though?
For $1 million?
No, because instead of the $1 million, I would rather have 3 meatballs.
Okay, well.
And then I could teach her how to play the piano.
Oh, boy. What else do we have here? Let's try to do some rapid fire ones. Some shorter answers, then we'll do a couple longer ones before we wrap up here. What do we got? Hold on, let me look. Favorite brand of peanut butter by John Zimmerman. Anything by Jif that is chunky. Give me a little chunky peanut butter. Or
That's
I like some protein peanut butter at the vitamin shop if I can get it on.
I'm allergic to peanut butter. I can only have like a spoonful.
Yeah.
But I will have that spoonful from time to time. Chunky was my thing. But the older I've gotten, the harder that is for me to eat.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm losing teeth or something, so that's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
But so I'll go with Smooth and I'll go with Jif. Although I just watched something where people think Skippy is the best, and I never was a big Skippy fan. Maybe if I was a boy.
I've never really tasted the difference in peanut butter, to be honest. Where I'm like, I can't have this peanut butter.
I just think Jif is quality, and everything else is way, way below.
Anthony Hauser says, have you ever just eaten a bunch of food for the fuck of it? Yeah, on cheat days. And actually, I had to stop doing that because I would like justify like working out hard all week, and then my cheat day would become a cheat weekend, and sometimes a cheat trio, and I would go on like these 3-day benders where I'm like, this is okay. Yeah. And looking back at my physique from like 12 years ago, it's like I was never in bad shape, but it was like I was never in great shape around that time period. So I'm really glad that I stopped doing that. It's really bad.
Yeah, I notice when I do the cheat day, if I'm not doing it during the week, then if it's a weekend, then it turns into a weekend, a cheat weekend. Yeah. And then I end up cheating on my significant other. Oh. And it's just all cheating. Then I go. A lot of cheating. I re-enroll in school, and I cheat on my math test. And it's everything.
What is your favorite dream match or matches that never happened? Right off the top of my head, I would say that, and I know that's been put out there publicly by Kurt Angle as a dream match of his, but honestly, thinking about the prospect of Kurt Angle and Bret Hart being a thing that would have happened would be amazing. And I would argue that it might have been one of the best matches of all times if it ever occurred, because I know I really love the Kurt Angle-Shawn Michaels series, and Shawn Michaels and Bret I kind of put neck and neck. Obviously, they've been married to each other in various reasons for their matches over the years and their controversies over the years. But I think Angle and Bret Hart would have been on another level. If there was a dream match for you that never happened that you would like to see, what would it be, Aaron?
Well, if we're going to go with Angle, I'll say Angle and Chad Gable.
That did happen, though.
Oh, did it?
It did.
God, I don't even remember that.
Okay. It was like a shorter match on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, yeah, then that doesn't count.
It didn't happen in the way that it could have happened.
Yeah. Also, I would like to have seen Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin, although I know it happened at times, but not, again, the way it should have.
Yeah, I mean, the only time it happened was in that 2-on-3 match that happened on Monday Night Raw the week before WrestleMania 18.
Yeah, whack. Yeah. And I think it happened in WCW on some house shows. Is that true or no? He wouldn't work? Okay. No. And then another one I would really have liked was was I going with this? Well, I don't remember, so let's move on.
Oh, boy. All right. Let's see here. Devin McKenney says this might be generic, but what is it like being a wrestler with cerebral palsy? I also have cerebral palsy.
I can't barely answer that because I don't really have it. But thank you for your question.
Well,
I appreciate it. I don't want to disrespect the community.
Devin, my answer here is, I don't know what it's like to be a wrestler without cerebral palsy, so I don't know.
Excellent answer.
But that is right. It's like,
Yeah.
and I learned that from Zach Gowen, because when people would ask him like, what's it like wrestling with one leg, he'd be like, well, I don't know what it's like to wrestle with two. So it's like, I think it's like anything, any type of situation you have in your life, when you figure out how to do something, that's just the way you do it, because that's the way you've always done it because of your circumstances, right? So I don't know what it's like to be a normal pro wrestler, but I'd like to think that it would be weird for me if I had two functioning arms. Like, I figured out how to do it this way, and I made it work for me. And honestly, I think I've had much more success in my situation. And specifically, not even counting that I'm a wrestler with cerebral palsy, I think when you have limitations in anything that you're trying to do, and you have to try to make it work conventionally, I think when you're forced to think outside the box, it just leads you to be better at what you do, because you don't have to think, the way everybody else does. So I don't know. That's what works best for me. Let's see what else we got here before we start wrapping it up. Nathan Moyer says, what's the greatest thing you've learned about communication or communicating from wrestling that you've applied in your personal relationships? That's a very good question. I guess, Aaron, why don't you answer this one first? Greatest thing you've learned about communication or communicating from wrestling that you've applied in your personal relationships?
Don't cut promos on your significant other.
Okay, why not?
Because it's always bad.
Like, what kind of promo are we cutting? Like, are you
just
cutting
any kind? You're not supposed to. It's not wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was younger, I think I credit me being able to talk and cut promos to girls that turned me down or broke up with me, because I would just cut promos on them all the time. I would cut like long-winded promos, and I remember stealing things from Hulk Hogan. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. When all the smoke clears, in me you could trust. And then I thought, like, the girl would be into that, and no, because one, girls don't fucking like wrestling.
Yeah.
And two, that's some dumb shit to say.
It's weird that you would say something like that from Hogan and they wouldn't get incredibly moist.
It's weird that you say moist.
Yeah, I say moist.
Girls don't like that either.
Yeah, that's why I said it.
Okay.
So, anything else you've learned from wrestling about the communication?
Giving someone an Iggy.
How so?
Yeah, you can always just like look at someone when you mean something and kind of give that, a little look or nod or whatever.
Sure.
And when somebody starts to catch on, then you really feel like you've communicated with them on a different level.
Okay. All right.
Because only you and them know.
Sure.
And wrestling is like that a lot. Like, you and probably the person you're in the ring with, and maybe the manager on the outside or something, are the only ones that are on that same page.
Yeah.
So I always thought Carney Talk was cool for a while, but then everybody started doing it. Carney Talk was cool for me like in the mid-'90s because no one else knew it.
Who were you communicating in real life, though, with Carney Talk? Yeah.
Oh, Tiger Rudo.
Oh, okay.
Because he would read the sheets with me.
Right.
So, like, we would be talking, and maybe we didn't want somebody to know something, and we go, kayfabe. And nobody knew what the fuck that meant. And that's how it was supposed to be.
Sure.
That's how it was back when we started. So, suck it.
Boy, I'm trying to think. Great.
Oh!
I'm sorry. Aaron's watching basketball while we should be doing a podcast, everybody. But what's the greatest thing you've learned about communication or communicating from wrestling that you've applied in your personal relationships? Okay, I hope this doesn't sound too generic, but I would say that, again, it's just who I am as a person, but I think being vulnerable and with the way that I approach my character, with just being open about my disability and the childhood trauma and circumstances that I had to deal with, I think it made me understand that being open like that is okay, and I think it made other people more open when talking to me. And I just, I don't know if I was as vulnerable as my wrestling character until I started showing that character on live shows and on TV. And so I think becoming even more vulnerable and open as a person, whether it's being serious about my situation or just cracking jokes about it, I don't know. I think it made it, it made me more endearing to people. And I don't know. I think being honest with yourself and your experiences and introspective, I think showing that side of me as a wrestling character helped me more in real life. I've said so many times that, the things that I've done as a performer has helped me better as a human being. And sometimes investing in those stories and doing research beyond the act of wrestling, like with certain song lyrics or quotes or movies, watching those things, figuring out what creates feeling with me, and then sharing that feeling that I get with others, whether it be a fan or people in my personal life. Like, oh yeah, I like that movie too, and I felt this when I saw this scene, or I felt this when I read this quote. I just think it's made me a better, more well-rounded person. So, Nathan, thank you for your question. I hope that answers your question. Does that make sense, Aaron? Did what I say make sense?
Oh, perfectly.
Okay.
Because I think even if whatever movie you're quoting, maybe it's not that person's favorite movie and they don't quote it, but they're more likely to come up to you and go, hey, man, I quote movies all the time. Like, have you ever seen There's Something About Mary? I always have this quote in there that I like to say.
Yeah.
So it's relatable, and being relatable is very important at this stage where we're at.
Well, even seeing something that you think makes you think of someone else, and you say, you know what, I think you could find something in this. And it's not just a wrestling thing, but a perfect example of something that I just saw recently. I was watching a Jim Henson documentary on your favorite channel, Disney Plus, and in the documentary, they were talking about these series of short films that Jim did back in 1965 called Timepiece, and there's a lot of stop motion involved with it. And even though the clips in these short films that are about 90 seconds each, they don't seem to go together. If you watch them, the 90 seconds is like one thought, but it's a bunch of randomness to make that one thought. And when I saw these, I immediately texted Atticus Cogar and I said, you need to watch these Jim Henson shorts, because I think there is something on brand with your character that you could do in this style, especially if you had the time and patience to do a little bit of stop motion. I think that you create something special that really no one else is doing. Like, no one's fucking doing stop motion promos, right? And I think there's a lot of cinematic stuff that Atticus already does. So I was like, I think you could see something weird and gnarly in this and make something cool. So, yeah. All right. That's my rambling on that. One more, and we're going to wrap it up. And if we didn't get to your question this week, I'm going to put them in the archives, and we're going to try to get to them in the not-so-distant future. Greg Knowlton says, if Owen Hart lives, does he become World Heavyweight Champion, and would wrestling look different anyway as a result? Whew. In my heart, I would like to think that Owen Hart would become a WWF champion. But in my mind, I don't think that actually happens. I do think, if he lives, that Owen does become a heavyweight champion of some sort somewhere. I don't know if it's I don't think it's in WWE though. And I think, like, if you really think about it, Owen passed when he was 34. So he had a lot of career left if he wanted it. We all hear the idea that he was building his dream house and that he was probably going to get out of wrestling real soon and become a firefighter. But I'd like to think in some way Owen would have still been a part of wrestling. But let's just pretend that he doesn't wrap up his full-time career in 2000-ish or whatever, and he wants to continue wrestling. I could see I think it's very realistic based on what was happening in wrestling in the late 2000s, early 2010s. If Owen sticks around, we're putting him at, let's just say 2009. He's only 44 years old. I could see Owen becoming a top guy in Japan after leaving WWE, doing his thing for a while, especially if you can consider if he's still around in the early 2000s. He's now having probably some of his best matches ever in WWF against Jericho and Angle and Eddie and Malenko and Benoit and, I'm trying to think deeper in the Angle, even though he wrestled Angle in a dark match. I'm sure that was nowhere near what they could have done in later years. Even some bangers later in his career with Shawn Michaels. I think all that happens. That sets up Owen to be a guy where people are like, geez, like Owen still has a lot to give. He goes over to New Japan or something. He becomes the heavyweight champion. What do you think?
I think, picture this. The screw job goes down.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't stay.
Okay.
He takes the out and goes to WCW.
Mm-hmm.
They're hyping that Bret Hart's going to be coming in.
Yeah.
For weeks and weeks, right? This happened for months that they were talking Bret was going to come in, right? Is that it was a while before the debut of...
It was about a month. It was about a month because
okay.
again, that goes back to the idea that all this concern about Vince being so worried about Bret showing up on Nitro the next night, that could not have happened without a breach of contract because he still had a number of days left on his WWF contract. But yeah.
So everybody else is let out of their contracts immediately. Bulldog, Anvil, and then Owen.
Yeah.
Right? In the build to Bret coming in, Owen shows up. And he's pissed because why is all the attention going to Bret?
Mm-hmm.
I should be getting this attention. As Bret comes in, Owen's already built 2 big wins after debuting with a promo. Now, Bret's coming into, what was he, a special referee for the match?
Starrcade.
Okay. Well, Owen's on Starrcade, and he ends up in a fatal 4-way, wins this match to become the number 1 contender.
Mm.
He goes on. He defeats Sting for the heavyweight title.
Owen does?
Yes. And then...
Not that night.
No.
Okay.
But down the line, because he's won this number 1 contenders match.
Yep.
He's going to face Sting. And Bret Hart finally debuts,
mm-hmm.
and Owen's like, wait a minute, what's all this pomp and circumstance for Bret Hart debuting? I'm the Hart that has a world championship.
It's very much a play on what they did with Bret and Owen in '94.
Yeah,
that iconic scene at the end of the show where Bret's on the shoulders of everybody, all the baby faces, and then Owen walks out standing in the entranceway like, hey, what the fuck? I beat this guy earlier in the night.
Yep, exactly.
But no one cares about that.
Yep, and we run it back, and then this time it's for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, but Owen is the champion.
Mm.
I would have liked to have seen that. I'm just throwing that out there.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. I don't know if that would have happened because Hogan and, all that.
Right, but also, it's nice to think about a scenario where one of the rare circumstances where someone in WCW, probably someone smart like a Kevin Sullivan, could have been like, you know what? They fucked up by not having Owen win the title for a second in WWF.
Yeah.
What can we do to make that happen to where we can do Owen and Bret for the championship and Bret is chasing Owen for a second there? You know? That could have been...
Because we never saw the Bret chase Owen.
Yeah.
I think that could have worked. So I could have saw him as a world heavyweight champion. There was another question about celebrities.
Yeah. Want to ask
Is that
real
true?
quick? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay. I thought I remember seeing something about that.
This is also Greg. He said if you could wrestle any non-wrestling celebrity, who would it be? And if you could train any non-wrestling celebrity to be your partner, who would it be?
There's so many phenomenal athletes out there. Somebody like Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns, or Nick Chubb who can squat 687 pounds. Like legit. I watched it. But But I'm going to go Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Because he's an athlete. He's a mixed martial arts fighter.
Sure.
Besides being a commentator, he can talk.
Yeah.
I think he'd pick up on it very easily, or at least easier than some. And I think he could have some good work.
I worry that he would have respect for wrestling to try to do it. I mean, I've heard his podcast with like The Undertaker or Ric Flair. I think there's a level of respect in those moments, but I feel like anytime he hasn't had a wrestler on there, he just kind of fucking buries it because it's not UFC.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm not saying it's
that's who I'd go with.
Possible.
Though. Yours?
Boy.
Alyssa Milano.
No, no. She's getting too old, anyways. I didn't mean it like that. I mean too old to wrestle. Too old to wrestle.
Gotcha.
No, you didn't. Fuck. You know what, Greg? I'll have to get back to you on this one. Okay.
Oh, come on.
I don't know. I don't have a proper. I could pick anybody.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to pick someone super famous that would draw a lot of attention.
Right.
So let's pick.
That's why I picked Rogan also, because #1 podcast in the universe.
Yeah. Then let's pick. Listen, my first thought, maybe because I was just rewatching it recently. Tom Holland.
Who?
Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think you could do. Obviously, play Spider-Man, but also you could have an underdog scenario because I think he's undersized compared to most professional wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you know what? You mentioned something off air.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's a good idea.
Biggest influencer in the world. I mean, if you can't get Bad Bunny,
yeah,
he's already done it.
Yeah. Why not?
You got to get Taylor Swift.
Yeah, let's do some intergender action. Me and Taylor Swift tag team.
I think she manages you, and then you get jealous of her popularity.
Oh, then I turn on Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think you could turn her on? You said you turn on Taylor Swift. I think she'd turn me on.
Well, she would probably just see my advances and shake it off. All right, hey,
you go write a song about you.
That's it for this week, but we'll be back again next week. And actually, if you want some more action, we're going to be on Patreon with a bonus episode. So patreon.com/irononwrestling for a buttload of bonus content. You know what? Some of these questions, if they're good enough, we're just going to answer them on Patreon. So I'm not telling you that you should go behind the paywall, but maybe you should. And listen, I'm not going to screw you. We're not going to do all of them. I might do one or two. Just because you guys asked some good questions, so why not?
Yeah, for $3, go ahead and find out.
Yeah, and then stick around, and you get all this bonus content from the past and in the future and early podcasts. So it's a good investment. It's the best way to support the show. Make sure you follow us on social media at Iron on Wrestling. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube at Iron on Wrestling, and make sure you follow me on social media. I'm Gregory Iron on Twitter. Gregory_Iron on Instagram, Facebook.com/TheHandicappedHero. If you're into that sort of thing, you can book me for pro wrestling, motivational speaking, and pro wrestling seminars. As I said, you could see me in Uniontown, Pennsylvania this weekend for Rise Wrestling. Saturday, 1 p.m., I'll be doing a seminar. 7 p.m., I'll be wrestling PB Smooth for an NWA championship. So it's going to be
Dude, that's going to be wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
The contrast in height. Oh, man, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll even show up.
Okay, well, maybe
I'd manage him, though, because I want to be with winners.
Well, I was hoping that maybe we could do the gimmick where I sit on your shoulders and we wear a trench coat. So
I'd rather have you just sit on my face.
It's inappropriate and unnecessary. ProWrestlingTees.com/Gregory Iron for my shirts, Aaron shirts, Iron and Wrestling shirts, all out of print. You'll never find them anywhere else. So if you want them, you got to get them at Pro Wrestling Tees. Cameo, if you want to shout out, just search Gregory Iron, and I will shout out anything that you would like, within reason, of course.
And I'm giving out a free shout out to anybody who buys a shirt and sends me the proof.
Wow.
Yep, I'll record a 3-minute video. Maybe 90 seconds. Just depends on how many shirts you buy.
Okay, all right.
I'll send it to your granny.
So if you buy more shirts, then you send shorter videos? Oh, longer. Okay, because you went from 3 to 90 seconds. For
sometimes I don't like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Because I'm afraid of Rosie and Jamal.
Jesus Christ. What would you like to plug?
I'll give you a shout out in a recorded video if you buy one of our shirts.
You don't want to plug your social media?
Oh, yeah. At Fair to Air.
How are they going to contact you
X,
for this shout out, you idiot?
Fair to Aaron on Instagram. And my Truth Social, for the last time, it's all wrestling.
Or maybe the last time in the way that we're living now.
Well, I guess you got to tune in to find out.
Oh, boy.
Hey, and if you haven't voted, vote.
It's very important. Smack down your vote.
Yeah. Or vote or die. Remember Diddy used to have that campaign.
What's he doing these days?
I don't think he's allowed to vote.
Why not? Did something happen? Anyways, until
we'll
next
talk
week.
about that on the bonus.
Yeah, next week. And hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting. And here's a kiss goodbye.